Welcome back. I'm gonna be telling 9 scary stories that are popular in a campfire or a sleepover. These stories are eerily creepy and haunting. I hope you enjoy them. Number 1. The Licked Hand. A young girl named Lisa often had to spend time alone at night as her parents worked late. They bought her a dog to keep her company and to protect her. One night, Lisa was awakened by a dripping sound. She got up and went to the kitchen to make sure the tap was off. As she was coming back to her bed, she stuck her hand under her bed and the dog licked it. The dripping sound continued, so she went to the bathroom and made sure the tap was turned off there too. She went back to her bedroom and stuck her hand underneath the bed, and the dog licked it again. She felt safe and went back to bed. But the dripping sound continued. So she went outside and turned off all the faucets out there again and made sure they were off, and they were. She came back to her bed, stuck her hand under her bed, and the dog licked it again. The dripping continued. Drip, drip, drip. This time she listened and located the source of the dripping. It was coming from her closet. She opened the closet door and there found the poor dog hanging upside down with his neck cut out. Inside the closet there was a message. It said,
Humans can lick too.
Number 2. One night, a woman went out for drinks with her girlfriends. She left the bar fairly late at night and started driving home. She noticed a pair of headlights in her rear view mirror, approaching at a pace just slightly quicker than hers. As the car pulled up behind her, she glanced and saw the turn signal on and the car was going to pass. When suddenly, it swerved behind her, pulled up dangerously close to her tailgate, and flashed its lights. Now she was getting nervous. The lights dimmed for a moment, and then the brights came back on, and the car behind her surged forward. Now she was getting scared, struggled to keep her eyes on the road. Finally, she took an exit. The car continued to follow though, flashing its headlights periodically. Through every spotlight and turn, the car followed her, and she pulled into her driveway. She figured her only hope was to make a dash into her house and call the police. As she jumped out of the car, so did the driver of the car behind her, and he screamed.
Lock the door and call the police. Call 911.
Later on, when police investigated everything, the man told the woman the reason he was following her because a while back he saw a man behind the car seat. He would rise up with a butcher knife, try to attack her, and this is why he would turn on his high beam to warn her. But every time the man with the butcher knife saw the high beam, he would rise back down. If it wasn't for the man behind her following her, who knows what would have happened to the woman. Number 3. Some things are better left unseen. 2 dorm mates in college were in the same science class. The teacher had just reminded them about a midterm next day when one dorm mate, let's call her Julie, got invited to a party by the guy she liked. The other dorm mate, let's call her Meg, had no interest in going to the party. Instead, wanted to study for the midterm. At the end of the day, Julie spent hours getting ready for the party, while Meg started studying. Julie went to the party and had time of her life with her date. She headed back to her dorm around 2 a.m. and decided not to wake up Meg. She went to bed nervous about the midterm and decided she would wake up early to ask Meg for help. The following morning, Meg was laying on her stomach on her bed, apparently sound asleep. Julie rolled her over to reveal Meg's terrified face. Julie, concerned, turned on the desk lamp. Meg's study stuff was still open and had blood all over. Meg had been slaughtered. Julie, in horror, fell to the floor and looked up to see, written on the wall, in Meg's blood, it said,
Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?
People have theories about the story. Some people think Meg was being murdered as Julie entered the room, but she was too drunk to notice anything, and it was too dark for her to see anything. She was still alive while Julie went to bed, and whoever killed Meg wrote that after Julie went to sleep. Number 4. Strange burial. My great-great-grandmother, ill for quite some time, finally passed away after being in coma for several days. My great-great-grandfather was devastated beyond belief, as she was his true love, and they had been married for over 50 years. They were married so long, it seemed like they knew each other's thoughts. As the doctor pronounced her dead, my great-great-grandfather insisted that she was still alive. The family members had to push him away from the dead body, but he insisted that she was still alive. Back in those days, they had backyard burial and did not drain the body of its fluids. Throughout this process, my great-great-grandfather persisted so fiercely that she had been sedated and to put to bed. Finally, his wife was buried. That night, he woke up in horrific visions of his wife hysterically trying to scratch her way out of her coffin. He phoned the doctor immediately, begging him to take the body out of the grave immediately. The doctor refused, but my great-great-grandfather had this nightmare every night for a week, each time frantically begging to have his wife removed from the grave. Finally, the doctor gave in, and together with local authorities, they took the body out of the grave. My great-great-grandmother's nails were bent backward, and there were bloody scratch marks on the inside of the coffin. It was true. She was buried alive. Number 5. The missing boyfriend. A girl and her boyfriend were making out in his car. They had parked in the woods so no one would see them. When they were done, the boy got out to pee, and the girl waited for him in the safety of the car. After 5 minutes, the girl got out of the car to look for her boyfriend. Suddenly, she saw a man in the shadows. She jumped back in the car and started to drive away when she heard a very faint squeak. This continued for a few seconds before the girl decided she had no choice but to drive off. She hit the gas pedal as hard as possible, but couldn't go anywhere because someone had tied a rope from the bumper of the car to a nearby tree. The girl slammed on gas again. Suddenly, she heard a loud scream. She got out of the car and saw her boyfriend was hanging from the tree. The squeaky noises were his shoes scraping across top of the car. Number 6. Spiders in the hairdo. There once was a 10-year-old girl with braids. This girl had been wearing her braids in a ponytail for the longest time, and the braids were old, at least 2 to 3 months old, and the girl's mother never took them down to wash them. The girl had been complaining to her mother about having headaches for 2 weeks. Her mother just brushed it off, assuming the girl had just bumped her head on something. One morning, while getting ready for school, the child called again and began complaining to her mother. Again, her mother brushed it off. At school, the girl told the teacher that her head had been hurting. The teacher assumed the braids were too tight and attempted to let down the ponytail. When she let the braids loose, the teacher saw a spider in the child's hair. The spider had laid eggs in her hair, and the spiders were eating her scalp. The girl was rushed to the hospital, where she later died. Number 7. The bride in the trunk. A young couple, both 18, decided they would get married right after they finished high school. The father of the bride lived in Palm Beach in a mansion and was able to afford a big wedding for them. After the wedding, they had a big reception in an old building and everybody got fairly drunk. When there were about 20 people left, the groom decided they should play hide and seek. Everyone agreed and the groom was it. While he covered his eyes, they all found hiding spots. About 20 minutes later, everyone had been found except the bride. Everyone looked for her everywhere and tore the whole place down while they were looking for her. A few hours later, the groom told everyone that she was playing a joke on him, and it was not a big deal. Eventually everyone went home, but a few weeks later, the groom, having filed a missing person report, gave up looking for her. Heartbroken, he tried to go on with his life. 3 years later, an old woman was cleaning up the old building where the reception had taken place. She happened to be in the attic and noticed an old trunk. She dusted it off and out of curiosity opened it. She screamed at the top of her lungs, ran out of the building and called the police. Apparently, the bride had decided to get in the trunk for the game for hide and seek. When she sat down, the lid fell, knocking her unconscious and locking her inside. She suffocated for a day or so. When the old woman found her, she was rotting, her mouth hanging open in the shape of a scream. Number 8. The Good Samaritan. One summer day in Southampton, New York, a woman pulled up to a gas station. As the attendant pumped gas, the woman told them she was in a hurry to pick up her daughter, who had just finished an art class in East Hampton. A well-dressed man walked over and started talking to her. He explained that his rental car had died and needed a ride to East Hampton for an appointment. She said she would be happy to give him a ride since she's on her way over there anyways. He puts his briefcase in the back seat. And said he was going quickly to the men's room. The woman looked over her watch and suddenly panicked. She drove off quickly and having forgotten the man was coming back for her car for a ride. She thought nothing of him again until she and her daughter pulled into their driveway. The woman saw his briefcase and realized she had forgotten him. She opened up the briefcase looking for identification so she can return the briefcase. Inside she found nothing but a knife and a roll of duct tape. Last story. The dead body in the hotel room. A newlywed couple went to Las Vegas for their honeymoon and checked into a hotel suite. When they got to their room, they both detected a bad odor. The husband called down to the front desk to speak to the manager. He explained their room had a bad odor and they would like a different suite. The manager apologized and told them that they were all booked because of a convention. He offered them to send to a restaurant on hotel's expense, and he was sending the maid to their room to clean and get rid of the odor. After a nice lunch, the couple went back to their room. When they walked in, they could still smell the odor. Again, the husband called the front desk and told the manager the room still had a bad odor. The manager told the man that he would try to find a suite in another hotel. He called every hotel, but unfortunately, everything was booked. The manager told the couple that he couldn't find any room anywhere, but that he would send another maid to clean up the room again. The couple wanted to see the sights and do a little gambling anyway. After the couple left, the manager and all the housekeeping team went to the room to find what was making the odor. They searched the entire room and found nothing. The maids changed the sheet, changed the towels, took down curtains and put new ones up, cleaned the carpet and cleaned the suite again, using the strongest cleaning products they had. The couple came back after 2 hours to find the room still smelled bad. The husband was so angry at this point, he decided he would find whatever it was making it smell bad. He started tearing the entire suite apart. As he pulled the top of the mattress box spring, he found a dead body of a woman. No one knows how long the body has been there. No one knows who the woman was, and no one knows how long it was rotting there, and no one knows how many people slept on the dead body. I hope you liked today's episode, and if you did, please give it a like and subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow with more stories. Until then, take care.